Boso View Express was a Japanese rail simulator that was introduced in 1996, making it perhaps the first of its kind. It had first-person perspective, 3D graphics, pretty good quality 3D graphics actually, and it's managed to survive in spite of all the competition from Microsoft Train Simulator or on trains, the works. Support for it online is far less than it used to be. Since version 4, some of the sites have gone down, so I'll show you one of the main add-on sites here and what's left of it. Follow the link, and it is a very small list. And this is really what I wanted you to see. It is a 404, or this is a 404 anyway. So a group of fans developed an OpenBVE project to try and save the simulator with all new code but the same content, or at least add-on content like the Birmingham route, which was maybe the most popular add-on. So here are the latest versions of OpenBVE. I actually have 1.4, not 1.5. And meanwhile, the original BVE survived, so you can either get this, the OpenBVE. This is 1.4, the version I have. You could try and find the original one, or you could also try 5, which was in the shots from the website. Here I'm going to demonstrate OpenBVE 1.4 with the Birmingham layout. Driving a BR Class 323 in the year 2005, because this is an older version. And the track layout, of course, was developed for the original BVE, so it's much older. So anyway, here we are in Redditch, getting the Class 323 ready. I just hit Control-T to call up the timetable. That's the fancy one. You hit it again to get the more practical one that doesn't block your view. And then Control-C for the digital clock and Control-V for the digital speedometer, which is in kilometers per hour, which makes it a little bit confusing actually. And we have a few more seconds to highball here. I just clicked the reverser into forward. And highball. So I click the air brakes off and the regeneratives off, and as I apply the throttle you can hear the brake shoes dragging. The sound on this simulator is the best I've ever heard anywhere. Squeal of the flanges in the curves, the banging of the joints, everything is pretty much perfect. It's quite a contrast to Oron Trains, actually, because Oron Trains always sounds like a model train set to me. Just nowhere near as good. The engine sounds are great, but otherwise it's really not so great. Whereas BVE is extremely realistic, actually. Now, you notice the frame rate is kind of bad. Some of that is that the graphics are extremely detailed. I have bumped them down a great deal. If I had the graphics turned up all the way in terms of resolution, it might look a little bit more like Train Simulator 2017 or on Trains A New Era, but it looks a lot older, like Trains 2009 or something like this. And that's just because this frame rate would be even worse otherwise. The real reason for the bad frame rate, though, is that I'm running Open Broadcaster as I'm doing the playthrough, of course. So I'm running a lot of stuff at once here. Now here, the first section of the line is downhill, so I'm having to pump the regenerative brakes to keep the train down at 20 miles an hour, which is the speed limit. Once the line straightens out, up here, and the train crosses the first bridge, the speed limit goes up to 55. Where is it? Waiting for it to pull up here. 20 miles an hour is kind of slow. Especially for Britain. So I pump the regeneratives one last time to be technically correct. The speed sign passes, and here we go. 55, of course, isn't very fast either, but it feels fast on this line because of all the curves. So it's more fun than maybe you'd expect. Obviously, in Britain, there are plenty of lines where the speed limit's 125, not counting the Channel Tunnel Rail Link where the speed limit's 190. But on this route, the highest speed limit you find is 70. And you struggle even to make that, actually. But for this playthrough, the 55 is going to be the fastest, because I'm only going to go to the first station. There's that bad frame rate again. Really wish that wasn't the case, but there it is. That's what happens when you run Open Broadcaster over a game. So here I basically feather the throttle and regenerative brakes, and I hold it at 55. Here's the first mile post, if I'm not mistaken. There's a farm crossing with no whistle. The detail is great on this. You don't see too many sheep out there, but the fencing is all pretty accurate. This is what rural Britain looks like. And there's the first whistle post. So I hit the two-tone horn, high and low, which is typical for a crossing. I have a British Railways manual, but I haven't found the exact rules for whistle signals. They're not as complicated as in the US, actually. And they don't use the horn anywhere near as much. For example, in the US we would have done 2 shorts to start the train, and they only do that with steam engines in Britain, as a general rule. There's a second whistle post. And I've made that crossing my landmark to start decelerating for the station. Now, Alvechurch Station has a 20 miles per hour speed limit, which comes into effect right there, way before the platform. So you have to brake much sooner than you would normally expect. So this is why you need to know the route, of course. So you then have to crawl up to the station at 20 and brake once you're in the platform. It makes stopping very easy, but it's very easy also to speed into the station because you're not expecting the speed limit to drop so soon. And I just barely made it on time, too, so this is a challenging route. Go with the full service there. I don't know if you call it full service with regenerative. So there I am. I just about made it on time. But that's all the time I have. So thanks for watching, and you'll see more of these soon.